Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be teaching you about the for loop in Java. Now the for loop in Java is basically like most other languages. You say for as many of these in this range, or every time this variable can fit into this set or whatever, then do this. And basically that's what we're going to be doing today is for loops. And I'll just try and teach you the basic syntax of it so that you will understand everything fine. And yeah, so let's get started. Well, first let's make some sort of array. Let's just make an array of some numbers. So int array, and we'll have that equal to 1, 2, 5, 10, and 23. Now, the reason I'm going to use an array is just because it's kind of easiest to show a for loop this way. I'll also show you one without an array and just kind of do it that way. But yeah, so just make some sort of variable that that has more than one sort of object in it. So an array, of course, is the only thing I've taught you so far, but there are also things called hash tables, and we'll probably get into those later. Anyways, so how do you make the for loop now? Excuse me. So the first thing you're going to do is just type for parentheses, and then inside the parentheses you're going to make another variable. We're going to say int I, which equals 0, and then I is less than array dot length semicolon I plus plus. Now what this is basically telling the computer is we're going to make another variable called I, and as long as I is less than the amount of variables that are inside of the array, then do whatever we tell it you to, and then add I to it. And if it's still true, go back, check if I is less than the amount of variables in the array, and then do this again until this statement here registers as false. So where do you put the commands? Well, there's a little error down here, so what we do is we make a body of curly braces like that. And so just for the sake of example, we're just going to say system.out.println, and then in here we're just going to have it print out the array index of I. So whatever I ends up being, that's what we're going to use as a my bad, not a function. Strings and stuff in Java, really weird. Anyways, long story. Other story. Now that we have this printed out, we'll just save this. Hopefully there's no other errors. We hit the little run button. We go down here and we'll see the output. So the first thing it outputted was 1, then 2, 5, 10, and 23. Hopefully that sounds familiar to you. If we go back up here into the array, or where we defined our array, you'll see that those are the numbers. So basically what's happening is that 1 is the index, 0 is the index for 1, 1 is the index for 2, and so forth. Now, why did this work? I mean, you're probably thinking, well, if it starts at 0 and it goes to 1 and it adds another 1, wouldn't it stop at 10 and not go to 23? Because then it would be the amount of I would have a value that would be equal to array.length when it finally said 23. Well, no. Array.length includes the index 0. So I'm not sure if I covered that before. I don't think I did. But basically, array.length is the variable of like how many items are in the array. So this would return 5. It wouldn't return 4 because it doesn't just say, okay, it starts at 0, so take away 1, and that's how many objects you have. It actually says how many different variables or objects are inside of your array. So it makes more sense than what you would do if you were manually indexing an array. So it's like the one thing that actually makes sense because it does count everything and it doesn't start at 0. It starts at 1 basically. And so that's kind of what's going on here. And yeah, I hope that makes sense to you guys. If it doesn't, leave a comment and I'll try and explain it to you further. Another thing I said is that you can actually just do a for loop with out an array, and so I'll just show you what you can do with just a plain for loop. What we're going to do is just print out I instead, so I, and up here we're going to give it another argument. We can say as long as I is is less than something else, then we can just have it keep printing until it reaches that number. So for example, we could say 1001, for example. We'll save that and run it, and we have all the numbers from 1000. See, because it starts at 0 and then goes up and stops at 1001 because it's not less than 1001. So maybe that it helps make a little bit more sense with what I was talking about with array.length and all that. But yeah, if we scroll up or start scrolling up, you'll see that there's all the numbers from 1, or well actually from 0, I believe. Yeah, from 0 to 1000. And if you wanted to, you could start I at 1 instead of 0, and I'll show you how to do that. You guys could probably figure that out on your own, but just in case, where you define I right here, int I equals 0, if you just change that to 1, your for loop will start at 1 instead of 0, but you will still get the same output except 0 will not be included in there. If you also wanted to, you could say up here, if you want to change it by a different rate, that's what this part is. So that's changing whatever your variable is. It says once you loop through, just add 1 to it. But you could also say I plus 2, or my bad, 2 plus I, right? No, I plus equals 2, I think. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, was programming in Python earlier and things are a little bit different. Anyways, yeah, if you wanted to increase it by a number, you would just say I plus equals 2. So we'd just take whatever the value was of I and add 2 to it every time that it loops through. And I'll show you what that looks like, just so you guys believe me. And because we started at 1, it counts every odd number from 1 to 999, because it never reaches 1000, and 1001 is not less than 1001, so it doesn't print that out at all. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Click the subscribe button if you want to see future videos, like the video if you liked it, and favorite the video if you really want to help me out. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll be seeing you later.